hate this. I hate this so much. I hate this.
No! Freaking, no! Come on!
This is the only bit that you'll have the camera on for me, so I just wanted to say hello and welcome to everyone. But anyway, welcome everyone. You don't know if you've played Trashional Lampoons? Well, you gotta let me know when you want to play it, because this level got Nintendo'd, unfortunately. And so it's by upload only at this time. Full disclosure, spoilers. This is spoilers. It ruins the entire level. Go away if you have not played this level yet. I love you, but you cannot be here.
It doesn't really matter if they don't plan on playing.
Yes, that is true. Although if you don't care, you could stay. But anyway, for anyone who doesn't know, Trashional Lampoons was a collaboration by myself and Shieldzer. Anyway, it was actually my first venture into New Soup, and I was actually playing off the fact that Chichery said that if you can make a New Soup level, you can make any level. So I took that to heart. But in any case, without further ado, let's just play this first room so you can see it.
Here we go.
You go over here. Your only option, once you're in here, is to hit this on-off switch. If you wait or try and go in the pipe, a poison mushroom bounces up.
What the f killed me?
Below screen, you have the poison mushroom here. That's all this is. It because it's night mode, jumps up all on its own and bounces off of the note block. Very, very simple setup. Now for the next setup, you hit this, you dodge the mushroom, and piranha plant. And that's literally just a spring that rides over here, stops at this blue block, and when the on-off changes back due to this setup up here, which only becomes active after the first on-off change, the piranha plant bounces up. This first room, very, very simple, very easy. What you have here underneath the launcher that's what drops down, revealing the door. And that's just a Kaizo block with a fish in it. Because everyone knows Geek likes fish. And because of the nature of the placement of the Kaizo block, that is not obtainable. So anyway, you come over here. Literally going slow is your best friend in there. You come into this room. This right here contains a fireball. So, and that'll go up screen. I'll show you what it does afterwards. Blue screen, you have poison mushroom, which gets ejected up into your butt. So anyway, what this fireball does is when you come into the room first, is it melts this ice coin, dropping the muncher on top of you, preventing any form of progress.
Either way, we are going to get that. The frick?
Another very simple troll, very easy troll. What makes this all happen is I have two mushrooms bouncing on this note block here to stack the cannons, and it's a proximity sensor. It's just the standard old thwomp, hitting this on-off block to make it shoot upwards. There are players who have managed to get down here, and so I had to give some sort of way for them to die if they got down there. So hence another fireball. The next on-off change that happens, it occurs once you come down here. What activates that? Yes. This is what activates the next on-off change. It's not really clearly indicated, but this block is that's when the on-off changes point. But anyway, so once this on-off changes here, you have this fire flower, which will come over here, bounce off of this note block. I specifically made it a pink note block so you'd hear it. Anything that is something that you want the player to look at, I always try to give it like an extra noise that it in order to draw their attention to, like, oh, what made that noise? And it can start, because it's night mode, will just start running away from you. And if you just let it go, it'll either go in this hole or up into this box here. So when this on-off changes, though, you have the spring, which after the first on-off change will be sitting right here. On-off changes again, bounces the spring up, another very standard, bounce the player up into the box. What you don't see, because this option is right here to jump up this, you have a P-switch, and we'll just demonstrate this right now.
Here we go.
Which, there you go, and that's what activates your clown car. Some of you may already recognize the clown car coming in from the side because it's the same setup used in the Marvelous Toy to eject the clown car to the side of the screen. It's literally the same exact setup, just made to work with new soup. A little Easter egg for specifically the stream, I gave you a nice little face right here. Oh, blah! I'm gonna bite you. Anyway, let's get through the pipe. So far, literally nothing complex. Hey, this is where it starts picking up. You have yourself your hit. No mushroom, bring spring. And this right here was the only setup I could get to work to destroy this block and also de-cheese the spring. So the spring originally wasn't meant to be able to be brought with, but players always, oh, it's so easy to get. So I had to figure something out, and in order to stop them from bringing it. So the only way to guarantee that they wouldn't bring the spring further in the level was to make them use it. That's what became of this. This right here is specifically for Geek. And because she gets terrified of anything that is big and pointy, comes out of a spike ball, but is also prone to jumping. Oh, this hole just opened up. There's nothing wrong. And in her words, a ghillie will fall on your head.
Oh my god. Oh my god, how far does it go?
This setup right here. For anyone who played the early version of this level will already recognize this setup. All right, as you can see, completely out of entities. Poor Geek, yeah. She enjoyed the level. It made her cry. The auntie made her cry, but she enjoyed the level. This right here used to house a launcher, which is where these on-off blocks currently are. And when the thwomp on a track overlaps and lands into the clown car, will overlap anything under it. So a launcher with a fish in it used to be behind it. And the second you hit this P-switch, it would shoot the fish into you. All right, so we come over here. The objective for anyone who has played the level is to get this star and come back. So the star is what kills the thwomp and gives you your mushroom, which allows you to get above here. In any case, when you activate the P-switch, you also have a dry bone shell, which comes over here and drops a fish down the chute for anyone who likes to slide down the walls in case something might come out of the acid. And frankly, it didn't really work so well. But I wanted to make sure that we had something here that also made use of the star that comes out down here. So my solution was this. You have, because this troll used to never exist, but the thwomp is blocking a pipe that contains a P-switch, and this muncher falls down on top of the thwomp. So the second the thwomp is killed via the star, muncher will drop down and the P-switch will go completely infinite. Your hint was to get the mushroom. That's just to get you through here to by damage boosting into here. And this is where the screen scroll triggers. So, yes, stuff is happening. So this track right here houses this spring. The set that just travels down here and goes up for this setup here. If you look, the fire flower bounces off of the note block, and because there is a twister below the POW goes underneath the launcher. And what that does is just takes the POW and shoots it down the hole. So the setup below, you have a fire flower and a POW that falls into the acid and rests on the seesaw. And then there's a launcher that goes up and presses into the P-switch when the additional POW falls down the hole. This balanced setup only works if you scroll in from left to right. So it is very conditional. From there, it's a matter of this. Once the P-switch activates, this POW falls into the pit. And also because of the P-switch, this spring right here falls onto this shell, it'll bounce off of these blocks. These turn into blocks. It'll bounce off that, then hit into this, which is just a chain of spike balls and a spring to shoot this POW up behind the grinder. So, start to finish, this is what this room looks like. And the words "get POW," I can't remember how many revisions, like we changed what it said 3 or 4 times. So, and now it is technically possible to get 2 of the POWs, but get through and not die, very, very slim chance. So, from there you'll just throw a POW. Like, if the player gets 2 POWs, more power to them. Power. Anyway, let's turn this into a regular door and go on through. And everybody gets put in here because it's a cheap troll. In every single other situation, this is a cheap troll. But you hit this block and you get yourself a bomb. And a Rube Goldberg machine happens to make a spike ball go through. Most people got so, like, fixated on the fact that, oh my god, all this magic is happening, that they forget to move out of the way of the spike ball that's coming at them. But in reality, number one, it's not a cheap troll. You can no longer get soft locked in here. This right here, it's impossible to pass. So your only option is going inside of here. And the solution is just to walk to the left. And as you can see below, we have a spike ball here. So when the shell makes its way down, the spike ball comes out and kills the shell, so you cannot cheese it. Standard checkpoint 1 setup. I'll show you what that does later. That's one of the things that got this level Nintendo'd. So, in any case, you're given a power-up, which you immediately lose in blue state, so we're going to progress without it. Spike ball here, that large spike ball happens, destroying the floor beneath you. Most players have they just fall into it.
Checkpoint City, baby! It's a beautiful city.
Solution is just walk to the left. This helmet pops up, and if they wait too long, it goes up in this box here. Boing. And just so the player needs the shell to continue, that's a zero entity troll. Because the only entity you need is the one to change the on-off state. You go through the door. We begin Shieldsr section. The player immediately thinks, hey, I've got the nut. They want to jump up. Shieldsr has a claw placed here that is timed to come down with the speed of the nut, so the player thinks the floor is going to give it up beneath them, and they go up. More often than not, it's dodged, but the players that get caught, they get slammed right down into these spikes. As you can see, I could stand there, so you have plenty of time, and it really is as simple as just latching onto this and riding it up. This note block contains a Buzzy Beetle, which if hit from the bottom, bounces up into that tiny box right there, which, if you have to try and get up there, it's got Kaizo, so you can't progress. Your only option is to go down here into the spike pit. The solution, coming up here, not dying, because you're supposed to be big when you're up here. You get this shell, you throw it down there, opening up your path. You'll still have the nut suit at this point, so you can jump through the icicles, change the on-off state. There you go. Shell and hole. There you go, and to get through here, you just duck jump and on-off change. The only way to get past this point as large or small Mario is to butt pound. And, oh no! I went too far! And now you're trapped in a 1x1 gap with a spike to your right. Another note is, if you do dodge this, Shieldsr put a Just a question block. It is a useless question block. There's nothing in it. Underneath it, however, now that you're Tiny Mario, is a Kaiser block that contains a boo ring. And you can't get through here because of the boo ring whatsoever. Okay. Next step. Shieldsr also has... Oh, a mushroom. Oh, how unfortunate.
No! Duh!
And this in itself is a double troll. Oh, and it's a setup that only works when the acid is all the way up. So it's deliberate. The top portion is deliberate to make the acid rise. This actually was developed, if I'm not mistaken, before the section prior, and Shieldsr had to make it work. But that goes down. You can still get the mush, but then the muncher pushes you up into this box. So that's the second portion of the troll for the players that like to stand right here. The small percentage of players that stand to the right are the ones that actually dodge it. Next step, you've been shown, you go up. You've been shown this pipe earlier, so the player is immediately thinking go to the left because they could see that when they're right here. This brings you up, burst through the wall if you're not expecting it, and immediately going to the left. The second you start going to the left, you're dead. A one-way has been placed here so that the thwomp stops in place and can't go any further.
Here we go.
So that... There you go. Which brings us to here. You have a very symmetrical setup, which used to resemble a schween. That was a very tough sentence to say. But it's designed to be identical so that the player can't predict which mushroom's going to go up or what's going to happen. But you get close enough, the key is close enough. You can't collect it without that coming at you. The strat is to just come up here and get the mushroom. You could also stand right on top of this and get the mushroom as well. Alright, but you're given the key, and the only thing you're left with is seeing... Oh, I need a POW. Where do I get a POW? Wall blows up and... Oh, I needed that POW. Uh-oh. I guess I have to go in this door after all. And Shieldsr's ante, which I put get good at the top of it. So, the thing about this anti-soft lock is it used to be much harder. We were actually requested to make it easier for Defender. So, God, I've lost all the muscle memory to do this. It's really not that bad now that I've gotten used to it, though. Like, when this ante first came out, it was like the bane of my existence. Ah! But, overall, it's really not that bad. Alright, so this is the pity that we were requested to add. This follows the track. What's funny is, I literally just placed a track and then this burner. I literally just did this at random, and it ended up timing where the flame happened just as it got to the end of this track here. I had no way planned for the fire to come up and melt these coins. What's funny is, when the player drops into this anti-soft lock, in its current state, because there's a pity, but you don't immediately see it, the player in every single case, including DGR, just continues on the anti-soft lock. They don't actually see these coins get melted about 30 seconds in. So what makes it excellent is them not realizing and continuing to go around in a circle until they, oh wait, I could just walk there.
Wait, why can't I just go and... Was that always there?
So they end up doing it to themselves, continuing the anti-soft lock themselves without taking the pity. So a little touch I added to his anti-soft lock is that there's a semi-solid underneath this conveyor. So the player, if they're not paying close enough attention, will just think that the conveyor is going to slingshot them really fast to the left when they're trying to time these note blocks. So, more often than not, they time it wrong and try and stop and get bounced up and have to do it all over again. And if the player goes through the key door, they end up here.
Here we go.
Alright. The bomb is there. Can't actually hurt you if you're standing there. But the bomb, in every case, has gotten the player to run to the right, and then they get crushed by these munchers. If they wait too long... You come in here in blue state, by the way. If the player waits too long, the lava comes up and blows up this bomb, which turns it back to red state. And they can't progress. Their only option is to jump into these spikes. Now comes my single favorite troll in the entire level. Also by accident. They see the POW, it falls, the burner comes down, melts this ice coin, and the poison mushroom swaps places with the POW, and the poison mushroom goes into the player. Geek fell for that one hard.
No! No!
The checkpoint is as simple to get as it looks, and it's just two different munchers, depending on which state you're in, coming down and landing in front of you. And once you respawn at the checkpoint, you notice I have two spikes right here. This has worked for two people. Spike ball comes at you really quick, and the player that fell for it got scared of the spike ball and jumped right into the spikes above the checkpoint. It's the stupidest way to die, and I love it. Now, I ran out of doors. I would have used a door if I had one. So I did something here with the transition room, and this was the only logical place to put this. So I ended up being able to reuse the shelmet that's here. It falls down and goes into the acid, but there's a mess ton of Kaizo blocks so that the player is unable to continue if they try and get it. The strat is just go in the pipe. And they're presented with this room. There's two options for you to go. If you go to the right... Oh! Where did that shelmet come from? And unfortunately, the hint, it's like they didn't get the hint. But when I put a sound effect for like glory, it would not play highlighting the spiny helmet. So that was the clearest I could make the hint. So what you're actually supposed to do when you go through the pipe is get the spiky helmet. But if you stand here when you get it, fish. And just so you can see the behind the scenes after this, you hit the Kaizo block, shell comes up, you grab that shell. If you do not grab the shelmet here, then it gets destroyed by a POW below screen. Here is that setup. This is what dictates right here, the launcher coming up and blocking your path. This right here bounces off of the spring, crushing between the muncher and the other muncher, and this muncher just lands here, so it rides the launcher up. Which also, this muncher right here, once this block blows up, will come down here and land on the seesaw, pushing this spring up into the shell, which hits the question block, popping out the spiny helmet. This shell, just so it doesn't make noise, I have hitting this block and going straight down, and so it doesn't keep making noises. Anyway, when you get to here and you hit the spiny shell up into the spring, it shoots off the screen into these one-ways, hits this POW on the way down, hits this, like it ricochets off of that, goes up the slope, hits the wall here, bounces back up, hits this wall, and comes back in here to hit the POW. I know it's super like roundabout. You can technically get both spiny shelmets, but that has been accounted for in the following room. Your next step is to go up here. My arrow, I wanted something to ring in everyone's heads again. My arrows do not lie. You do have to go over this way a little. I just don't tell you how much. So players think, oh, the pipe's the right answer, and using the custom auto scroll, I have the screen scroll to the right, revealing a door. So, but that's a key thing with me. My arrows don't lie. It's more fun to deceive people by telling the truth than it is by lying to them. So we know the door's here. That's indicated. It's indicated where the door is. Now, these question blocks, if you hit them, cannon! Both of them contain cannons. and both of them will shoot you if you hit them first. So, so as to further discourage the player from hitting those question blocks. You come through here, you have 2 bonefish. That way, whether you're facing left or right, you will not be able to take the cheesed shell. Most people will see, because New Soup in this theme, you could see the icicles very easily behind the launchers, will see the icicle shaking and just run past, revealing a bone shell, which they need to continue. So their only option up to this point, because they're not getting to that, they're not getting the mushroom. Does anyone see what this says? It's a CP1. Oh boy, that can't actually be a CP1, but I need a power-up to continue.
Wait, what? Why would it be CP1?
Uh-oh.
What? What? No!
Crunch into CP1. So, I've told the player it's checkpoint 1. I have made every indication, like, that is not a good way to go. CP1 this way, like, I don't know what else the player wants. They still go in there. They still, like, I want the nut. That's their attitude every time. And this is on the bottom of the screen. Just so that everyone can see it. It is on the bottom of the screen. There's nothing hiding below. And what's above is those 2 bumpers that are used to boop the player straight up into the, or straight up through the ground. And here's the thwomp that activates that. We progress to the door in red state, using the bone shell. If the player does not have a power-up, that is what happens. Remember, they get this mushroom on the way through. Let me rephrase it. If the player does not have the bone shell, that's what happens. If they don't take the bone shell, they go over to the left just fine. This section was optimized to work both with and without a mushroom. And what you have here is an indication showing, oh, bone shell, drop in this hole. Let's stand back and see what happens. Oh no, I'm blocked. I have to go in here. And your turn, Mario. Oh yeah, that's ×2. You didn't see number 1. So that actually has 3 ways to end up in there. Okay, you got a bone shell. You get your mush. If you enter the door like this, you end up behind the muncher and forced into the hole. Now you wait for the bomb explosion, which gives the acid time to go up, and Yoshi dumps you into the acid, saying, "Your turn, Mario," because all players seem to like to drop Mario into the acid. All right, solution to the room. It's just going up here. It's literally going fast. For the curious of people, you have this question block that was not able to be hit before. And you get an infinity P-switch that activates, opening this path again to you, with your only option to go in this hole. Again, a 3rd time. Your turn, Mario, ×3. It is, I made it actually work, so the number actually changes each and every time, or the visible number changes each and every time the player enters the room, up to 3 different times. So, what makes this whole room work? This is the messiest and most complicated room in the entire level. So, when you enter the room, you have a cannon here, just to prevent the player from re-entering the room later on. But when you enter the room, you land on this shell, Muncher pushes you out. That's pretty self-explanatory. What controls the on-off mechanism, you have a spring that falls onto the seesaw, but also a Yoshi that falls into the seesaw. Neither of these items are affected by the fact that there's going to be a shell going through. In fact, this spring, that is actually what causes this shell to go over and hit this question block, which boops up the muncher into the bomb, changing the on-off state. But I have a whole mess ton of blue blocks here for the state change just to kill the shell so it doesn't keep making noise. The snake block right here is there just because the shell does not spawn without it. Also, with that on-off state change, you have this bumper here that will ride up on here, forcing the player to go to the right should they go in the hole. I also indicated where the shell has to be dropped so that they don't hit the Kaizo block. You go above screen. It's literally just a spring on a seesaw that if you hit this question block, this comes down. The fireball that comes out is on a parachute, which falls down this hole, hits the P switch. Oh, actually, it melts the ice block here, which turns the P around, and the muncher falls on the P switch. Once the P switch goes off, this muncher bounces, blows up this bomb, and lowers the launcher, which falls from here after the first on-off change. So it's a bunch of different things working together for one troll. And what keeps the P-switch active and going off is actually a muncher in the very last room of the level that this P-switch with wings hits. Just to go over the Yoshi Lives Matter room, because they do. If they enter in the first state, it tells the player here on the left, no bone shell. All right, and it's all it is a bomb going off and Yoshi coming down, spawning a muncher out of this note block, and pushing Mario through this gap. Now, Mario can spam jump. There is a small chance that they'll get crushed, but more often than not, they do not. In the red state, the bomb blows up, doesn't affect anything. Or sorry, in the red state, this bomb goes off, blowing up this block, so you still only see the two. In blue state, bomb blows off, so you only see the two. So by the time you get down here, though, these will all be covered up by the acid, so you won't see it. In coin state, or the P state, with P switch active, all of this is spawned. So this muncher will be there, but because of the P switch being active, the bomb doesn't spawn, so you get ×3. Now, you go back in blue state. Let me just do this room really quickly so you guys can see it.
Here we go.
Start to finish. I purposely give the player a mushroom, so that way when they come back through here, they can navigate across the spikes again. Oh no, a spring! And they get caught in the box.
I hate you so much.
It's a very rude spring. But yeah, this mushroom won't be here when they come back through, as it'll been collected the first time, and as you know, power-ups, once used, do not respawn. And I can't remember if it was Shields' idea or not for that spring, but it ended up working out very well and getting a lot of people. You can just stand here and duck, and we gave you a nice little courtesy Kaizo to butt walk yourself across this gap here. Your only option is to go through that door, which becomes available. Hey, it's the goal! Your only option from here is to jump up and bounced over the goal. This is still Shields' section. Hit this, spike ball goes. If you're standing here, fish.
What is this? It's a fish!
Here we go.
You jump up, fish again. And this right here is just for geek.
Not again!
So your only options are fish. But you just go in the pipe, there's nothing to it. This room here is a twice. If the player goes through, it's revealed that there's no flag. And the wall stops scrolling. So the player's only option is to enter this pipe which brings you straight to the anti-soft lock. in what's it called? The final version, with the proper screen scroll, the wall will not have already blown up. You're gonna see the wall blown up. Alright, but that is timed with a block that scrolls down. Alright, I'm just gonna stand here and let that blow up. You hit that, spike ball comes down. If the player re-enters here, it's blocked, so they're discouraged, but they can still re-enter that door. Why you would, I would never understand. Which brings us to the end of the level. If they hit that block, they're presented with the fire flower. If they hit the other block first, the only thing that's preventing them from getting soft locked. And the fire flower gets caught up there, and they're unable to finish the level. This is the goal. It is a troll with them being able to stare at the goal. What makes this whole room work? You have this note block, which is what falls, so the player has to bounce up and over into the pipe. And this is your on-off timer for this change, so the player can't go out prematurely. And this is the block that blows up the wall in the room next to it. You also have the on-off change for when they, just to make sure they go into the ante in the correct state, as well as to make sure that the wall blows up, revealing that they chose the wrong path. But it's actually a rather simple level. There's not much going on in terms of jank and whatnot. There are a couple glitches here or there, but all of the trolls are extremely simple. It's messier because it's new soup. But that's what made this level so successful. In fact, this level had something like, before it got deleted, 160 likes, so it was the most popular level that it's ever been on my profile. So anyway, I'll actually have to send this to Once Forever, but that does in fact cover the entire level. And despite the level being simple, still took people on average about an hour and a half to complete. So it's a brutal level to try and navigate start to finish. Here's the thumbnail art. Oops, sorry. Oh yeah, one last thing. This question block, I forgot to mention this. This question block was there just so to guarantee the player would get hit by that spring. So, and oh yeah, and above the door you do have a fish as well, but that's really it. If the player does go back through that door from the very end, they get a fish. But in terms of complication, this right here, this is why what consumes the most entities in the entire level. 18 entities in one room. 19. So 20 if you include the muncher that's right here. But literally it's one room for 1/5 of all of the entities allotted for the rest of the level. Anyway, but that's the explanation for Trashional Lampoons. X, if you saw it in the level, is my section. Or S was Shieldzer. That's him. The only place we didn't indicate it was the very end. That was all Shieldser's idea for the twice. Pretty much we only would indicate it at the beginning of a section, so you have the X here. That's mine. Let's see, that's mine. Pretty much most of the main world is me. And the majority of the subworld was Shieldzer. So that's me, this is me, and this is the transition into Shieldzer. There's Shieldzer, who encompass three sections. That's Shieldzer, also Shieldzer, and me. So him and I, we worked pretty much 50% each on the entire level. But it was a really good time. We worked very hard on the level together. I really don't think I could have finished this without him, because I had trouble making a level with low amount of entities, and until he came along, this level was at a dead standstill. Like, it was facing deletion until he came along. So thanks to Shieldzer for saving it and actually making it such a popular level. It really was a great success because him and I were able to team up and make something special out of it. Ladies, gents, thank you for coming. Have a great night.